What I'm going to share with you now is fly stitch. Fly stitch is wonderful. It's got a lot of flexibility and a lot of variation. And please don't ask me why it's called a fly stitch, because I really don't know. A fly stitch is like a letter Y. That is a fly stitch. So with a fly stitch, what you do is you bring the needle up, you go down opposite. At this stage, I'll show you a variation in a minute. And then you make the loop, decide where you want the bottom of the V to be, because you form a V, and then you put a straight stitch coming down to hold the V in shape. Traditionally, a fly stitch should be about even, but as you can see there, you can play around with what you do. The other thing is you can have the stitch that holds the V shape very, very short. So that is also a fly stitch. Quite different, especially those last three. If you work a fly stitch and you put the short straight stitch in to hold it in place, what you can do is stack them or fan them out. So this stitch is really good for, say, making a leaf, because you can layer these as you work down. I'm working down towards myself. There you are. You see I've got 3 stacked flies there, and they just form a really nice leaf. It could be, because I embroider a lot of flowers, I do tend to think of leaves, but it's a good filler in. Really what it's doing is it's filling in a shape really well. The other thing you can do with fly stitch is, instead of having the second, where you take the needle down directly opposite, you can go down higher up, and it makes it uneven. So there is an uneven fly, and you could then do the next fly with the high side next door. Oh, that didn't quite work out, but that's still fine. If you're filling in a shape or just creating something, embroidery is so flexible, and it is wonderful with the range of creativity you can have. So we've done a running stitch, just a running stitch, where you can make the stitches any length you want to, and you can vary the length of the stitch on the top of the fabric and the space that you have in between your stitches. We then went back. First of all, I went back and filled in those gaps. So I went back and filled in the gaps, or you can whip the running stitches. We then learnt a lazy daisy and fly stitch. 3 really good basic stitches that can get you started with your embroidery. When you've finished working on your embroidery, you never ever leave a needle hanging. You must always put a needle into your fabric near where you've been working, or a good habit is actually to have it further out. When I've finished doing a lot of my embroideries, I will put my needle further out. Why do I do that? Well, I have lots of pieces of embroidery at different stages. So if I'm leaving the needle in my piece of work, I put it further out here, because sometimes my mind wants to create something else, and I might put this piece of fabric away and this project away and think, oh, I'll come back to that later. And later can be weeks or months. So needles today shouldn't rust, but just occasionally they do. So a good habit is to put your needle well away from the stitching of what you've been doing. And then if the needle does happen to rust, it's not going to affect your piece of work. If you're really going to put your piece of work away for any length of time, don't leave needles in your piece of stitching. Good luck, have fun, and share your projects with me.